Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. This is Katannya Alven speaking from the New Forest in the UK, and I've got some very interesting things today and hope that I get them uploaded quickly. So we'll start in just a moment. Let me thank everyone for their comments. And thank you also for anyone that's donated, and bless you. And thank you for sharing, thank you for liking, and just generally coming onto this YouTube channel. It's a mix really of the US and also, of course, the UK and Brexit, an election tomorrow. Very interesting times. Okay, see you in just a moment. Right, today my focus is actually on money and following the money and taking literally just a glimpse at the incredible amount of fraud that is going on and has been going on both sides of the pond and into other areas, obviously, but I'm just dealing with the UK and America in this video, so I'm just touching on some of the things I've got. I'm starting with a White Hats report, number 48, episode 1, Follow the Money. I'm starting at point 1236, where in the House of Lords, Lord Blackheath is in the process of explaining to the Lords. I'll go from here.
Looked at it and said immediately, this is rubbish. It's far too much money. It will stick out like a sore thumb and you can't see it in the Royal Bank of Scotland accounts.
Money had been received. It was an enormous sum. 3 tranches had arrived. And when you go from the beginning, you'll pick up the story. Lord Blackthorne was actually had 3 ideas of what it might be to do with. And it's very interesting that the White Hats have put it in their 48 report of Follow the Money.
Quite right. Secondly, he said, the gold backing it is ridiculous. There's only been 1,507 tons of gold mined in the history of the world, so you can't have 750,000 tons. This is true. And the third thing he said obviously was, it's a scam. And I agree with him, it was a scam. The problem is we stopped looking at that point. We should have asked, what is the scam, instead of at that time just nodding it off. And we have never really resolved this, because today I have this quite writing piece of paper, which is my justification for bringing it into this meeting today, which is available on the internet, and I'm astonished that it hasn't already been unearthed by the Treasury, and every alarm bell in the land should be ringing if it has, because this is the General Audit Office of the Federal Reserve, the real Federal Reserve in Washington, and its audit review in end of July 2010 on the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. It has on it some 20 banks listed, to which $16.115 trillion are outstanding in loans. My lords, that is the sore thumb that was being looked for by Lord Sassoon. But more particularly, there are 2 other very interesting things with this. The first is that Barclays Bank has got 868 billion of loan. The Royal Bank of Scotland has got 541 billion, in which case one has to ask, as they could have earned in 3 weeks enough to pay off their entire indebtedness to the taxpayers in Britain, why they have not done so, and could we please ask them to put a cheque in the post tonight for the whole 6 billion.
Excuse me, I like his sense of humour.
And the third thing that's wrong with it is that every bank on this list, without exception, is an MTN registered bank, which means that they are registered to use medium-term notes to move funds between themselves with an agreed profit share formula. In which case, these banks are investing this money, and most extraordinary, not a penny of interest does the Federal Bank of New York want paid on this vast amount of 16 trillion.
Not a penny of interest. This video was taken some time ago, although in the White Hats report it's just been put up as November 17, 2019. This was taken from some while ago, because the White Hats report is explaining about this money laundering been going on? Because they've been following it, they've been unearthing it, but I've come in part way through.
One amongst yourselves who knows what the IMF rules are will immediately smell a rat. Because the IMF has very strict rules for validating dodgy money. There are two ways of doing it. You either pass it through a major central bank like the Bank of England, who had apparently refused to touch this, or alternatively, you put it through to a bank which is an MTN trading bank, and which is then able to use the funds on the overnight European MTN trading market, where they can earn between 1 and 2.5% profit per night. And the compound interest on that is huge.
Right. Remember the Libor scandal, where the banks were using your money during the night, the overnight, they were making overnight profits on it. As soon as the banking closed, your money was whipped out, putting it in a nutshell, and traded on.
So there's a vast profit being made with this money somewhere, if it is in fact genuine. So, my lords, I believe that this is such an important issue now that I've put everything I've got on the subject into a 104 megabyte memory thumb, and I want the government to put this to some suitable investigative bureau and take everything I've got on the subject and find out what the truth is of what is going on here, because there is something very seriously wrong. Either we have a huge amount of tax uncollected on profits made, or we have a vast amount of money festering away in the European banking system, which is not real money, in which case we need to take it back. My lords, I ask for an investigation, and please support my plea.
Right. Well, I think much more to the point, and don't think I've ever seen anyone in either the House of Lords or the House of Commons show such an enormous amount of flusteredness. And I've watched him before on this subject, but not with as much information. But what it really amounts to is the criminality, the level of criminality that is really showing up. That was the quote from Woodrow Wilson, realizing that he had sold America into the hands of the criminal banking system. Now, remember that my first research was on the Bank of England, which took me, and I realized it was, according to the information I came across, it was the last Vatican bank set up by the Jesuits, and who were part of the Vatican, and it was set up to destroy America. William of Orange was actually given a loan by the Bank of England when it was first formed to carry on his wars with France and Spain, and for being given this loan, the bankers requested that they should be issued the charter to print the money. That is how the bankers, and the Bank of England was like, I would say, more almost the first central bank, or it took the initiative, it seems to me anyway, and out of the Bank of England really came the Federal Reserve it was set up in, or begun to be set up in 1910, but actually set up in 1913, for supposedly a period of 20 years. Well, you probably know the story since then. So really, that is where the source of the banking, the independent bankers, which have no allegiance to governments or people, actually got the right to print the money. It was from the Bank of England. in 1694.
We'd like to welcome everyone to the White Hats Report 48 video series, both our longtime readers and followers and also our first-time viewers. The long-awaited Report 48 will cover primarily the corrupt financial system that very few out there are aware of and even fewer participate in and benefit from. Additionally, while drilling down on information and smoking out the rabbit holes, during our investigative process, we were able to identify the origins, participants, networks, and operations of the shadow government. We'll get back to the significance of Lord James's historic speech in the House of Lords, but first, a brief recap of the information put out from our White Hats Report archives. Our first White Hats Report was released in November 2010.
Right, I'm going to let you look at the whole thing. It'll be in the description box. I do suggest anyone that really wants to understand this, a chunk in history of the criminality that's been going on. Okay, it's rampant. Now, here we come on Restored Republic, where DOJ catches the Democrat Party in a multi-million-dollar illegal foreign campaign donation scheme. This is just another of the many, no idea how many, money laundering and criminal schemes. Here, the Gateway Pundit, DOJ, Department of Justice, catches Democrat Party in multi-million-dollar illegal foreign campaign donation scheme. Guess what fake news New York Times uses as their featured photograph? Well, if you go down, you'll see that. I mean, it's just so shocking, not surprising. The liberal media is not only covering this up, they are lying about it. Huge Democrat multi-million-dollar campaign donations scandal broken up. Right, now in the UK we have the Finchley Road fraud story. This will be going on to the second video, part 2, which I won't do an intro to, I'll just go straight on.